Greetings and welcome to another Stompy 51 miniature adventure. You've heard of Alien Resurrection. This is Night Goblin Resurrection, where I will take you through a small number of now painted Kev Adams glories, but also a load of plastic Night Goblin archers. And I'm doing this because a lovely fellow at the friendly local gaming store has said that we will be playing a 1,000 point grudge match, these guys against his dwarves. And so I've been having a look at what I've got and putting it together because I thought, in orc and goblin sense, because I thought I've got loads of chaos stuff that I've prepared for chaos in the old, for Warhammer in the old world, but what's the point of having a grey army which I'm not going to have any chance of painting in time for the grudge match when I've had these orcs and goblins sitting about for 20 years in various states of quality of painting. And I've taken the time to spruce up through spring clean type challenge painting improvements and rebasing all of these. I had the army's going to be based around this Night Goblin Shaman, but in order to have a Night Goblin Shaman, I'm sure this fellow's Skarsnik, in order to have a Night Goblin Shaman, you need to have a Night Goblin mob. And I do have loads of the Battle for Skull Pass Night Goblins, but they're all round based for the Gloomspite Gits, and I'm certainly not going to rebase all of them. And then I had these sitting around, these plastic, about 70 of these plastic Night Goblins. I can't remember which edition they're from. Is it like the third or the fourth? Some mid-90s edition. And they are utterly uninspiring. Or so I thought when I was looking at them in plastic. And I asked myself, you know, is there any value to painting these at all? Because this is a hobby, and if you're not doing things for fun and they're a bit of a chore, then you've got to ask, why am I doing this? People who play golf, do they do anything which is just a pain? Or tennis? You know, no, they enjoy every moment. Well, I assume they do. I'm not very sporty, so how would I know? Anyway, at the stage of life I'm at, if I play tennis, I'm always worried that I would just keel over. Certainly if I played squash, you need to have the defibrillators out. Anyway, so I thought I would offer some thoughts and tips on painting large numbers of uninspiring miniatures. I think the first thing you've got to decide is, how low do I go? How much effort am I going to spend on this? So I thought I would use the black contrast paint to do the black, and it's worked really well, I think. The way I use contrast paint is I use for some, but not other pieces and not other elements. I usually use it for things like clothes or material. Skin I never use it for. So skin here, that's green 3-4 layers. The eyes I did red and then added a bit of yellow and dotted it. The bows I used some kind of black red and then only a little bit of a highlight, just running it down. The metals are basically one layer and then a wash, and the skin, I suppose, is really where I went to town, so far as one can say I went to town. Everything else is basically 2 layers, because I thought, particularly with the brown sort of satchel, whatever it's called, for all the quiver, for all the arrows, you know, who's really going to look at that and think, that needs to be highlighted to within an inch of its life? No one's going to think that. And working together as a group, they all look all right, particularly when it came to the basing. Because as I always say, when there's any opportunity for basing, I always make it look like the Shire. Let's bring them a bit closer without dropping it all. Can I do that? Is the giant going to go for a flight? I mean, he's metal, so if he goes for a flight, it'll be A&E time. Not that one wants to go to accident and emergency these days, because you're guaranteed an 8-hour wait, and that's if you're okay. The other tip I would say when painting large numbers of uninspiring miniatures is have a few little treats embedded. So I think I swapped for a variety of these old Kev Adams Night Goblins a couple of years back, and they were all broken and bashed and painted awfully, so I had to strip them. And this guy has turned out to be quite fun, because you can have a netter. You can pay an upgrade, 20 points per unit for the netter's special rule. When this unit's combat is chosen, It may attempt to entangle one enemy unit. Roll a d6. On a 1, the unit has entangled itself. On a 2+, oh, you've entangled yourself. On a 2+, the enemy's entangled. Until the end, they are -1 to their strength. Oh, wowzers, because that would get your opponent, presumably he's going to be strength 3, to your goblin strength 2, assuming that's all still as you see it. Now, is there any value in putting those on archers? I suppose it'll stop people coming near the archers because they're going to be strength 2. And then these guys I stuck on kids' beads and the more modern Night Goblin ball and chain bits and bobs onto these. There's a third guy floating on. Where is he? There he is. And that ball is actually from the back of one of the large Gloom Spike Gits Mangler squigs, the huge ones, because I didn't use all the pieces. So I just drilled a little hole in that, a little hole into the chain, and stuck it on. And if I hadn't told you that the chains were a lot shorter than they should be because they had broken over the years, would you know? Would you know? Whee! So as I understand it, the second an opponent comes anywhere near you, the little night goblins come flailing out. Let's have a look. Fanatics. What does this say? Release the fanatic. As the enemy draws near, mobs of night goblins unleash fanatics in a whirlwind of destruction. Who doesn't want a whirlwind of destruction? The fanatic is released. It travels through the air to land spinning several feet away from its concealing unit before embarking upon its erratic journey across the battlefield. To represent this, place the model so its base is within 3 inches of its concealing unit and not touching the base of enemy models. Fanatic movement. During compulsory move subphase, they move 2d6 in a direction chosen by the controlling player. I'm sure that's better than I remember it. I'm sure before it was random. During each and every other compulsory move phase, a fanatic moves 2d6 in a random direction. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. So you get to shove them out in the direction you want, and afterwards they are uncontrollable. Moving through a fanatic, although dangerous, a unit may move through a fanatic. If you ever end on top of one, well, things will get bad. Fanatic ball and chain. Every unit, friend or foe, that gets moved through by one of these little guys, what happens to them? D6 strength 5 hits with armor piercing 3. But they are pretty expensive. I think they were 25 points each. So that's a lot for 3. But it'll certainly make someone think very carefully about spinning through you. Death of a fanatic. Hilarious. Sounds like death of a salesman, like a play. Maybe a kind of postmodern play about modern terrorism. Anyway, we won't bother reading through that. I think my recollection is they just end up with the ball and chain around their necks. So these, I did a little bit more effort. They got one very light grey dry brush over the corners of their little black cloaks. The metals, I just basically dabbed in my usual way with packing foam with a lighter silver, and then just daubed one of the rusty effects over them, and they got 5 layers on their faces and hands, but otherwise they were pretty simple. But I'm quite proud that they've come on to a journey getting them near a tabletop, because they obviously sat in someone's box of bits and bobs for like 30 years, and they were broken, so they had no hope, no future. But through the Stompy school of regeneration, rejuvenation and rehabilitation, they have found a role in life, hopefully killing some dwarves, and he's going to be their leader. And again, he was broken, but I plonked that on from the Battle of Skull Pass set. I mean, someone had to give up their little banner, but I think he's a better cause. I don't have a leader for the unit though. Whatever they're called. What are they called? One guy can be a boss, one can be a standard bearer, one can be a musician. So I haven't got a musician or a boss. Well, I'll just have to keep an eye out. Maybe one day I'll find one that is in keeping. I mean, though, are these two in keeping? I've always asked myself, if they were going to get someone fantastic to design those, surely someone fantastic could have designed these. Although presumably they had their limitations back in the day. Ooh, let's get him off. So they're not too bad. They look all right en masse. But it took me the better part of 3-4 weeks, 2-3 hours a weekend to do this. And, oh, can I be bothered to do that? Again, the answer's got to be no. This is something, oh no. That wouldn't be too hard to put back, thank heavens. But I had such trouble assembling this, it kept breaking. Although, arguably, because of poor handling by the artist, being me. But I just felt, no matter how much time I spent on this, it never really looked very good. And I've had this for ages. And I think they're selling for like 50 quid or something, which I think is slightly scandalous for what it is. And that's a little rock lobber. And I'll spruce up the crew. But not today, I think I've had enough for this weekend. I've rebased a couple of these orc chariots. I'm hoping it will hit like a truck or like an orc chariot. And I think I'll I'll paint the basing for that next week. And then what else have we got? At the heart of all of this, I'll show you the giants, haven't I? At the heart of all of this is going to be this unit of 20 Black Orcs. Oh, it's England and it's raining. I mean, I've had to come out here because I asked my loving family just not to kind of yell and shout from floor to floor for 15 minutes, and they couldn't do that. So here I am, outside, being pissed on. Welcome to the life of a wargamer. But yeah, I am quite proud that I did these, because once I've done them, they're good for this rule set, but also all manner of other rule sets. Alright, I'm being pushed on. I'm going to have to go in. But rain aside, I did manage to get a game in of Blood Bowl. My Chaos Renegade stomped up the pitch in the first half, almost scored, but the hypnotise rule allowed the Vampires' very talented player to dodge past all manner of people, grab the ball, throw it across the pitch, and score at the end of my first half, and then score again, as you can see here, in the second half, although I did manage to kill a few thralls. And in other news, I consider the great question of our time as to whether I buy the Age of Darkness Saturnine box set for Horus Heresy from Games Workshop in circumstances where the original Age of Darkness box set that I bought several years ago is about half plastic assembled, and I've never ever played a game, but it's just so shiny. Answers on a postcard. And I think we'll leave it there. Please do subscribe if you want to see how this ongoing project continues. Otherwise, see you soon and keep well.